bracket playoff and Friday. But we have the veto ready to go, so let's go ahead and head over to that screen and take a look at the bans along with the picks for these two teams. As once again, of course, it'll be a best of 3.
Yeah. Bank removed here by Mockit. Border off for G2. I wouldn't be surprised if Coastline would be a map in this series at all. Oregon possibly a starting map for it.
So we're going to be going to Villa first as Mockit's pick. And Coastline, there it is, as we have the second pick coming in from G2. Pretty much expected there considering their results, so we have the final bans come out now.
I don't expect G2, actually G2 would have probably banned Consulate anyways in this situation, but Mockit's going to ban it for him. I'd expect Clubhouse to be removed after G2's dismal play yesterday against Mantis. It's possible we go back to Oregon, and there you go.
There it is.
As expected.
Villa, Coastline, followed by Oregon once again coming into the pool. Coastline finally started to make some appearances. We didn't exactly see it too much on day number 1, and I think it's starting to make more and more appearances here, at least not in the games that I casted anyway. We didn't see too much of it. So I'm a big fan of Coastline. I am excited to get into it, as it's a very, very fun map and leaves a lot of opportunities for the attackers compared to some of the other maps in the pool.
Yeah, and a lot of people say, oh, but Coastline's so attacker favored. Actually, outside of the penthouse, it's fairly even. The only site that really gives the advantage over to defenders, oddly enough, is Hookah.
Yeah.
Which is why a lot of teams have been playing on it. It went from the least picked site on the map to the number 1 in terms of picks and in win rate in just a span of 6 months. The metagame has completely shifted all of this, and the introduction of Maestro has definitely been a huge part of it. So I'm definitely keen on looking at what sort of operator bans we're going to have for this one.
And we saw a great example in the last series of just that, where we actually had SSG who could only win a defensive round on Hookah and Billiards Room and literally couldn't win one anywhere else, unfortunately, because of the attack power that we were seeing come in from Empire there. So that pretty much just illustrates it. We have the map stats here, specifically for our opening map, which is going to be on Villa. See, the bans are even, and so are the actual win-loss rates for the most part here. Obviously, G2 has that 1 additional win over it, but they're looking relatively even, at least when it comes to this season's Pro League results.
Yeah, I mean, G2 lost one of those games against Secret, who really hasn't had the best season in Pro League, to say the least, which is very surprising. But how much can you put emphasis on online matches? I'm not too sure.
Not so much.
Yes, and from your own experience, even more than mine.
Yeah.
It's very easy to realize once you've been around esports and competitive play for a while, and any sort of esport may it be, you'll get to see that offline play is really the determining factor. Online play, not so much. Especially when you have just a few weeks leading up to the biggest event of the year. That's definitely something to keep in mind.
And it oftentimes will even throw players off for their first couple of warm-up games as well. It's why players get that day or two before an event to rehearse a little bit, because LAN play just feels different a lot of the time for some players compared to the online play. It's that noticeable 50 to 60 milliseconds that you would average have online. It's gone all of a sudden. It's instant, everything that happens.
People think, oh, I can just peek them all the time. I can mirror peek them very quickly. That doesn't work on LAN. You get instantly shot.
Eager's advantage goes away to a pretty large degree once you get on 0 ping matches. But we have the bans coming out now. Capital and Montaigne. We saw a Capital ban earlier on this map in our previous series, and we've seen it once again. It's just the Montaigne being knocked out.
I'm very curious to see how the Capital ban ends up working at the end, especially since Mira is not in play. And Cav, oh my god. Okay. This is just to make sure that nobody's going to play Cav on 90. Yeah.
So yeah, that's going to get knocked out.
Fair enough. I mean, hey, if you have a ban, might as well use it for something, right?
Pretty much. So they will take Caviera out of the pool. It's interesting considering things I heard prior to this game, but I don't know those for certain, so I'm not going to comment on them. We are going to start on the usual site, however. Aviator in Games Room is where we'll go off, as it's going to be G2 starting out on the defense on the first round.
So Pengu switches away to the mute. Now, because of the Legion Echo Maestro Vigil, you see it on the beginning, and then you look, oh, there's a castle. Well, which site are they going to go to? Are they going to play downstairs and kitchen for the first site and then change around? You're really trying to play the mind games against your opponents, and when it comes to Villa, you can play 3 out of the 4 sites. I'm not going to talk too much about the living room. Unless we get to it, I think it has some flaws that really show. And when it comes to high-tier competitive play, and the attackers kind of don't always understand how well to attack into it, even though they should have a huge advantage on it. But whatever. Maybe we'll get to that. We'll get to explain it. In the meantime, Kenta Rocchetti playing Vigil. you're going to have some pick-off plays here. You'll have to worry against, you'll have to worry for the Glaz of Corey, which is very odd to see him actually playing the operator because guess what? Ashe is not banned. There's no combo, but this also plays very well into what KS is trying to do with his hand. I got 2 smokes. Why not play the Glaz? Usually that's a ban that G2 go for, but because they went for the Capitao, might as well run the Glaz.
Yep. And in addition to that, it was also 6 picked onto the Glaz as well from a Losel Blitz. Granted, to be fair, we haven't seen a whole lot of Blitz plays. They might have noticed that call out already, but they are still going to have a chance to maybe hide the Glaz here at the start of the round and hopefully catch at least one player off guard with that.
Yeah, I wonder where the setup is here, like for the defense of G2. I wonder how many walls they've left soft, and looks like most of them are reinforced. There we go. All 4 are reinforced in this situation, and they also reinforced in the vault. The amount of potential, though, that they have to control 90 in the hallway plus stairs in general is pretty darn huge. Pengu's in this situation also has his Legion next to him. Corey is just going to peek around using the smoke to his advantage. And this is now where it comes. Did they hide the operator correctly? Yes, they did. But unfortunately for Corey, he's not going to be able to land much with it. At least when you have the Maverick, you're able to do something about the mute jammers that are placed behind the walls to destroy them. But you have the Habana, you're going to have to be very worried about potential impact play from the defenders and any C4s from that 4-meter high wall.
Kansa will continue to mess with Corey as he sits behind the door. They already baited out one more shot from him. They now have the Glaz very much confirmed, and actually it's going to be Goga that peeks in instead, finding Corey, taking out the Glaz very early on in the round, giving G2 a decisive advantage now for the rest of this play-up.
Well, that is absolutely huge there. For the Echo to get that kill, definitely not something that should be happening. Pengu and Fabian will find one of their own as well, as Pengu will take 25 damage. Veil completely missing the Echo in the back as both of our Japanese CTUs engage. I'll spot the mute in the back, and KS again playing with the CZ75 so much throughout the past few weeks. They'll find one, but they get down and taken out by Jonas. This one last alive is Veil, and Kanto Raketti on the Vigil. Finally, we'll rear his head and find the kill, and everybody's running those pizza skins. Definitely something that blends in very well.
I've heard them called like 6 different things. So
what do the people call them?
I've heard spaghetti skins.
Spaghetti.
I've heard like pizza pocket skins or something like that. Like pizza rolls. Pizza rolls.
That's a very American call out. That's
Stokes
an NA call out.
Stokes told me that one earlier.
That's an NA call out. I guess that's what we're gonna start to call it. What would it be? I mean, if it's EU, maybe we can call it like the pineapple pizza or something.
Pineapple pizza.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of pineapple on pizza, but
no.
No?
Honestly, I think people judge it too harshly.
I just think it tastes disgusting.
Well, at least we could all unite in saying that popcorn on pizza or like caramel on pizza should not exist. So instead of finding ways to, how do you say, pick at one another's opinions, should find ways to all get together.
There we go.
And pick on someone else. And in this case, we have to pick on Mockit because that first assault was dismal. They were able to do anything. They weren't able to utilize the Glaz correctly to clear the stairway hallway, and from that move on to the site. The reinforcements were all there. They had everything to try and deal with it. They had the ability to lock things down with their smokes. They also had their hard breacher in the Habana, and they should have been able to do something with it, but they got overzealous with the Glaz, thought that they were impervious to any bullets, and guess what? When there's an Echo in the back that's just going to peek you because it's got a suppressed weapon, you're not going to be able to do much against it. And you saw some of the setup there from Kanto. This is one of the things that we have to highlight for G2, is that the players are extremely flexible on the operator picks. They will play anything and everything, and they're always going to excel at it, and that's what you get by having a team like this. Kanto Raketti sets up some of the most standard Evil Eyes on this map. Just because you see the drop hatches that are underneath them, as you can see here, you can break them open and then not allow the attackers to deal with them unless they utilize something like a Zofia or an Ashe, for example, charges there to deal with it. And in this case, none of them are available, which means you're not going to really be able to do much against them. But defense in the opposite and some damage done here to Rips, just really to keep Mockit on their toes, as Kanto just lurking in the back and Mockit not clearing the opposite end of the map at all. And this is a huge problem.
This is going to allow for a very easy pullback for the members of G2 and get them into the site. As you were mentioning, Mockit is going for a very one-dimensional push right now. They have managed to at least get themselves into the walk-in and master bedroom, but it's really only the first step here. They are starting to push in toward the first floor as well to add a little bit of pressure here And I would imagine eventually pinch onto Astronomy, but it's Goga reading into the hole that's blown open by the Maverick, immediately firing back and knopping out Rips.
This is the thing. Just to mention Emzo for a second, holes work both ways, and guess what? They worked very well there for the Echo of Goga. Yet again, Pengu trying to move in through the smoke to bait out Corey as the Yokai is helping him in the back. This is the kind of teamwork you're looking for, but Pengu shot behind the wall, unfortunately, will go down to Corey, and this will force Fabian to move into his position and set up close to the wall. He's got 2 impact grenades to use as well, but because Goga, or well, in this case, Vale on the attack is running the Habana, he had already used his utility on the bottom side. The Twitch will move in and will find the kill on Eunice, taking a decent chunk of damage, but Kanto is still alive and looking for the refrag. He sprays in and finds Cryan. It's a 3-3. The advantage of health, though, is all for Mockit.
Vale going to try to force the issue on the diffuser here. The problem is they're continuing to lose more and more players, KS being the most recent victim. Corey, however, still able to find impact, knocking out Goga as well, but not eliminating him just yet. Leaves only Kanto alive in a 1v2 situation, but the good news is both Vale and Corey are incredibly low, and he even has position to be able to move back and get the full res off onto Goga, bring him back into the fold. Now this is going to waste a decent amount of time from the post plant. Very minimum. They now have the 2 players to work with here as Corey, once again, looks to cut these players off as quickly as possible. Vale, no! Gets the better of him as we do see him taking down Corey with the trade, but Goga on the flank knocks him out. There should be enough time for this defuse, and with that, we'll see G2 come out on top as Goga finishes off the final 1v1.
It's a beautiful play from Corey, but guess what? Not only did he not knock out the Echo, guess what was still behind him? There's a Yokai.
Yep.
The Yokai in the bedroom was pinging it the whole time, and they were getting the information of the position of the glass this entire time. And yeah, once you have info, all it takes is the aim, and the aim exists for both teams here. It's just Mockit did not know where the attack was coming from G2, the counter-attack that is. And maybe this might be the time for Mockit to think, okay, if we're going to have to deal with this Echo consistently, maybe we should bring an IQ instead of the Twitch in this situation. And no, Thatcher, it's still some sort of counter, but it's not as perfect as you like it to be.
We also see the mute go over to the smoke for Pengu. Not as massive of a change coming in for there, but now playing through the first 2 upstairs sites will take us down into the kitchen for our 3rd and final one before G2 is allowed to rotate back up to the Aviator and Games Room, with the usual unlock coming in after 2 additional rounds being played out. And still good start here for G2. Obviously a little bit of a messier round on them, but as you said, with the Yokai drone left alive, they still had a very easy way to close down that post plant in the 2v2 and take control of a 2nd round for themselves. For Mockit, it's obviously a much better increase in their own performance, especially when you compare it to the first round when they were barely even able to get outside of study, approaching the Aviator Games Room, but they still have some more work to do, especially now that they're on the downstairs sites.
Yeah, so you're playing kitchen in this case. What is very easy to spot? Now, I say this so many times. If you're playing Vela and you're not holding on to bedroom, even as an entryway into different sites, you're doing it wrong. And in this case, there's reinforcements in the back to allow statuary play from the defenders, and also, if they happen to lose this part, to at least have some sort of barrier for the attackers to have to go through. Now, Mockit, as you've seen before, kind of start off very one-dimensionally. At least they'll have Thatcher to allow them to move in, but the hatch is open, and guess what? There's a Yokai above that's going to watch them. Perfectly played here from Goga. He'll ferry in another Yokai and actually keep it alive just to keep Mockit on their toes as they keep tagging them, but it's Rips to find the first kill. Cantor Ricketti removed, and you're out of sight roam play. The Vigil is going to get taken out.
First phone call more than likely going to be coming in right now as Mockit will use this to push forward again, primarily still using the glass as they're pushing power here with Corey on it. The 2nd smoke also deployed. Gets an easy lock onto Fabian to take him down. And already a much better round is forming here for Mockit, but the first trade is coming from G2, found by Goga. KS, a good position against one of the members of G2, but unable to finish off the kill and execute. So they'll stay alive and at full HP. A nice nade goes out against Corey, taking him down, and Jonas will finish off the frag. Bring it down into a 3v3 now that G2 have evened it out and forced Mockit to fall back, but there is a great kill from Cryan on the way out of the building as he takes down Goga.
Information is still available here for G2. They have the Yokai and they also have the Pulse that can feed them info, but Jonas will opt to just hold the angles as Pengu is watching the front doorway here of the laundry. He'll get spotted by the drone, but Cryan might just want to use this time to get up onto the bedroom and destroy the floorboard with the breaching charges. He has all the time in the world, And Pengu is going to make it even easier for them. Cryan will find the kill. And Sionas now last in. Cryan will try to dive into the side. Sionas will find one, but rips in the back. Trades it out. Well done by Mockit on the offensive. Realizing that, okay, we have 2 left. We can use the breaching charge to our advantage. However, once they had everything on lockdown, they dropped out from statuary and started to assault the site itself, utilizing the extra manpower as best as they can. And this proves that Mockit might be down, but they're not out just yet. And that glass play from Corey is magnifique. Wonderful.
Very nice. We did see him picking up at least 1 frag there, and certainly started to push the defenses back from G2, opened up a lot more room for Mockit to work with. Unfortunately, did find himself eliminated from a nade a few moments after the fact, but this was after the impact was already made. It's going to be a similar operator lineup for G2 as they now head back to the Aviation Games Room setup now that they've completed the rotation and still have a solid 2-1 advantage. Now, you remember, this was by far the weakest attack we'd seen so far from Mockit. It was also the first round, though, so they may have already figured out the issue and look for a better path to take on this second attempt.
Yeah, and the big issue was, how do we deal with the defenders that are quote-unquote anchoring outside of the site? For a lot of people, when you hear anchor, it's just, oh, we're just going to stay on the site and try to play on it. Well, you can use, the anchor can be anywhere. It has to just be in the water. In this case, you just have to have it in a power position. And guess what? The staircase, the hallway, 90, those are all anchor positions where you can just hold on to a significant part of the map. Now, I'm surprised that we don't see any buck play, for example, from Mockit in this situation where they can use all of this to their advantage and use that self-destruction. And this is what I was talking about before. This time it's Jonas playing the Maestro instead of what we saw Kanto doing before. Because you destroy the hatch, now you have to sacrifice utility to take out the Evil Eye or expose yourself way too much to take down that piece of utility. Guess what? Mockit not going to have anything to deal with it. And what you see from G2 is that sometimes they'll bring the smoke, sometimes they'll bring the mute. And it just seems like we want the shotgun, but it depends on what sort of utility we're looking for. Great play for Mockit to identify, okay, there's no Bennett, there's no mute. We're just going to enter and have the angle for us to use.
There's already 1 hole popped open by the ex-Kairos, trying for access here for Mockit. It's just about getting past Study, which was the major obstacle for them in the last round. Can't, in the meanwhile, able to simply go back down and again deny a little bit of intel. And in the meantime, Mockit starting to commit, but it's not looking like this is going to be the one-dimensional take that we saw before. They are still playing with the first floor as well to leave options open, and specifically Corey trying to play out the windows. Of course, he does have to be careful of a potential flank that would come against him from the master bedroom window, which is why he goes back to check that afterwards. But it's Jonas and Fabian that pick up 2 quick kills before the response comes in from Rips. A little bit late on that bedroom flank that we saw attempting to try and take out the Glaz, but it won't find its mark this time as the Glaz has already dealt with.
Yeah, minute 44, the Legion has deployed around 4 of his goo mines, so around half of them. It's not too shabby for this sort of defense, so you have them in your power positions in the hallways. But Chaos being able to hack the camera is definitely going to be something G2 will worry about. It's because the Maestro is affected by it, not the Echo, however, because lore, and that's how it works. In the meantime, Veil is going to open up parts of the wall here, possibly. They still have 1 Logic Bomb. They still have to worry about Kanto's flanks. With that extra manpower, and because you have 3 anchors in the Echo, the Maestro, and the Smoke on G2's side, you can push Kanto away and put him in another position. However, he's actually going to double down and sit right by that B bomb site just so they can use that utility to their advantage. Logic Bomb will come out and the Smoke will try to push in as KS is so low on HP. No, just going to play from behind and turn off the phones for now.
And again, this is the stall point that Mockit ended up reaching in the previous round that was played on this site as well. They've approached it in the same fashion. They don't have a clean way to get themselves past Study. They're relying, I think, a little bit on KS to try and do that for them, but even he's not in a great enough position to be able to do this now. As the time continues to roll down, only just now seeing the first of the smokes coming out as well. With the time approaching the 30-second mark, Goga will find another easy kill against Rips, slowly limiting that potential for their opponents even more. Kanto getting ready to peek into this as well, finds the spot, drops the diffuser. Yes, KS does get a trade, but it matters not, as Pengu will immediately jump out the door into the 90 hall and finish out the round again for G2.
Yeah, Pengu had tabs on this the entire time. He knew there was somebody in there. It's just a matter of time of when KS will peek. He even used the smoke to try and tag him through the wall, which is something that actually works. He was able to do a tiny bit of damage on KS, but he was already fairly low, so a single bullet at that range would have been more than enough to finish off the commander, I guess, of the squad, the star player of the squad so far. At least the one that's been around through the whole changes that they've gone through. It's actually pretty impressive. Not because we're trying to, you know, talk up a lot of the strategies and a lot of the history of these two teams. Mockit have gone through so many changes in the past year. It's absolutely insane. And actually, KS, for people that haven't been around back then, used to play on G2. However, and they actually won a Pro League together. However, or 2, to be completely clear. However, once he was removed after the Sao Paulo finals, Season 6, they went to Invitational. He was able to qualify with this team back then, 1UP, which is now kind of part Penta, part Mockit, I guess, kind of a mix, and landed in the same group as G2 last year. This year, they land again in the same group with a different lineup for both teams, which is pretty huge. Now, this is what I like from Mockit. I talked about the IQ, I talked about the Zofia, and guess what? Finally, they realized that there was a problem. They can now deal with Maestros, and the most important part of Zofia, fairly underutilized by a lot of people that play the operator, the ability to stun lock your opponents in positions where they cannot move away. You're able to find kills on them, and I really like that pottery position, actually.
For the yokai, yeah?
Yeah, there's quite a few sneaky places like that around a lot of the Pro League maps that you can use to your advantage.
Well, in addition to bringing the IQ and the Zofia, the Thatcher is still in play as well to further increase their capabilities, try and knock out some of the gadgets that G2's been using quite a bit of throughout the course of this map so far, and of course dominating on it with a 3-1 lead. So far, flawless on the upstairs sites, only losing downstairs in Kitchen, and that was played 2 rounds back.
I love the play coming in from the office, and there you go. Rips will find the first kill. Kanto's down. Huge operator down exchange for that amount of health. Completely worth it. Now those Evil Eyes, you can't change their positions anymore, and you take away arguably the best gun in the game away from the defense of G2, and Kanto won't have an impact anymore on the round. And that is the big change that Mockit should have done before when they were attacking on the site. They realized, okay, the glass is nice, but that's not really the approach that we should be taking. We should be getting map control, and Goga is going to make it more difficult as he at least finds the refrag. Rips is out. You can't use those Gushmolt mines anymore. Zofia is dead.
They'll be able to pop up, open one hole with the X. Kairos will look to do a second in just a moment to open up Statuary for his team to eventually push into her at the very minimum to give them a better angle to play off of in the late round when they go for the execute here. 1.5 minutes left, so still a healthy amount of time for them to get into position. But they do need to speed it up a bit, considering that they're still even in the 4v4. A lot of intel still needs to be gained. I don't imagine the drones would have found a whole lot on the inside just yet, and it's Fabian taking the up-close battle from the inside of the master bathroom, knocking out Cryan.
Yeah, I heard him squirming around on the floor as Legion was just standing there and waiting for him. Should have been a call from the Dokkaebi to try to help it, and now the goo mine, you step into it, and Fabian's already way too far away for you to deal with him. You lose the Thatcher. It's not the end of the world, but your late rounds flank launch is now taken away, and guess what? Now you lose the AQ. Goga might be down, but he's going to get picked back up at 50 health, and you're going to have the yokais available with you not really being able to deal with them at all. Logic Bomb, one of them, still remaining for KS, can use that to his advantage, but Vale is just watching, turns away at the wrong time. KS will go down, and Fabian will find the second. Beautiful play from Fabian, actually. The mind games of not just playing aggressively, it's a passive-aggressive kind of way, which is a perfect way to describe Fabian in general. Sit close. Okay, you're going to open up holes. I am going to sit near them, and I will wait for you because you feel comfortable. It is mind games at its rawest. You think, okay, I have the angle. Nobody's going to peek me through it. I can hold it. I have an ACOG. I have everything. And then guess what? He's literally right next to you, waiting for you to make that move. The moment you feel too confident or too comfortable, that is when Fabian strikes.
And it works perfectly to bait him into multiple kills throughout the course of the round, in addition to just tearing apart what was looking like it would have been a relatively successful clear from Mockit at the start with the elimination of Kanto in the early round. Once again, though, those operators are going to flip hands a little bit, with Jonas now picking up the Maestro, and Vigil once again being the mantle for Kanto Ricchetti as they head down into the kitchen for the second time to see if they can at least get a 5th round onto the board here and come out of their defensive half with a very strong 5-1 lead over Mockit right now, who unfortunately has failed to find impact on those second-floor sites at all.
Pengu moving over to the mute. Again, I touched on it before, but it really does depend on how you want to play. The fact that Mute got that SMG-11, it just means you can be very flexible. Mute, Smoke, they do different things, obviously, but the ability to have the shotgun for that SimCity quote-unquote setup that you're going to do in and around the site is pretty huge, and that's exactly what we're going to see Pengu doing here, just to open up more angles for him and his teammates to play later on in the round, as signal disruptors deny a lot of information and also make it a bit more difficult for the Heartbreachers to open up walls, even though they're the Thatcher, but also protect you from potential calls from KS for just a few seconds.
The SMG-11 has also proven itself to be a pretty popular gun throughout the course of this tournament. We've been seeing a lot of incredibly long-range kills as well, with people just sniping each other throughout the course of rooms, and it's been mainly coming in from mutes as well. So,
guess what? It was better before, and it had an ACOG.
I was told about this yesterday.
Yes. So everybody's, oh, why can't we have that back? No.
You don't want that back.
No, you really don't. That aside, Mockit are going to try to move in. This time, they go back to that quote-unquote tried and tested setup with the glass. So maybe this is something that's going to work for them again, as they were able to successfully attack the site after they neutralized quite a few of the roaming players from G2. Now Rip's coming in, he's going to get tagged by the Legion Gumine, but Kanto Rocketti is trying to fight at the top floor. He finds the header for just a second, but the hesitation might have just cost them a huge advantage here, Mockit.
Comes the walk-in, however, from Cord. He has to take out some of the barbed wire. He still has his second smoke to toss out as well, but it will not find anywhere close to the success it did the last time this site was played. Pengu immediately takes him out with a nitro cell. And again, it's an early advantage to G2, and Mockit, a false start, not finding any real ground to work with on their first attempts to take control of the building. Kanto Rocketti as well on the inside here. Still going to be biding time, whereas Vale, along with some of the other members of Mockit, are still going to be looking to push themselves to the inside, commit to a push here, but it really seems like they're struggling to find any entry route.
I like the double reinforcements that Pengu put up on the hallway, actually downstairs. It really allows them to just play into the site, but also chuck up utility from that 4-meter high wall, as you see here on your right-hand side. That's pretty darn good. Now you can play inside of the art room, basically, and instead of putting yourself always in the dining room and in the kitchen, you kind of can spread out and play the horizontal game. This is very similar to how you play open area on Bank, for example, where the strategy is spread the butter and go all on horizontal when it comes to the site play. And Goga just spraying down, make sure the opponents stay back for as long as possible, but the Pantry at least is in control of KS. Kanto will find one more kill. Cryin shot down, and look at how low Rips is on HP. Fabian will find the kill on Vale, and the Gumine will detect KS for just a second. He sprays, he finds Pengu, but Fabian is ready to go for the cross and rotates in to find the kill. Former teammates taking one another out. There you go. G2 will take the first half in a very dominating 5-1. However, this is Villa, right? Defensive sided, all of that. Some teams, well mentioned yesterday, EG and Lustream, kind of showed that it doesn't really work that way all the time. But in the majority of things, the majority of times, statistically speaking, the numbers don't lie, and the defense have an advantage. And G2 putting up 5 runs on the board is pretty huge.
Pretty huge advantage indeed, and unfortunately a lot of that coming down to them being able to restrict Mockit so heavily cause a constant fear for Mockit players to want to take any type of duel whatsoever, causing them to play an incredibly passive attack side where G2 was allowed to pretty much have their way with most of the map throughout the course of those 6 rounds. The one exception being the first time they played on Kitchen, where the Glass finally was able to find good impact. Besides that, unfortunately the Glass, despite it finally being left in the pool, it's definitely been a popular band so far throughout Invite.
Yep.
Just did not find the impact I think the guys were hoping for over on Mockit.
I mean, G2 going for their own ban on the Capitale, I'm not sure if it had a huge effect on the way that Mockit were trying to strategize, but it kind of showed, because I touched on this before, but if you look at all the bans that G2 make for pretty much most of their games, they always ban the Glass. They just don't like playing against Glass, which is understandable. You know, he can see you through smokes. Dokkaebi also is a big pick on this map, just because you can clear out so much roam using those calls if you use them effectively. But you also have the smokes to double up on it. So, yeah, it is something that kind of caught Mockit off guard, but we'll see how Pengu's Blitz actually works. Because if you think that he's scary on the Monty, if used correctly, G2 can have even more of an impact with this sort of op, and you see it's a lot of speed and violence that's being set up with the operators.
Let's find out, because we haven't seen a successful blitz play, at least not a super successful blitz play as of yet. So far throughout Invite, it's only been a few times that we've seen him picked up. Attempted to be utilized primarily by EG in yesterday's matchup. This will be one of the first times I think we see G2 try to bring it onto the table.
Goga just droning in, making sure there's nobody in the main entrance, setting up some late round rotation drones as well for him. The Blitz gonna rear his head here, and Corey will spot him. Penku actually taking a decent chunk of damage. Can't really flash that far away, and Fabian, what a shot, playing the Ash. Definitely an off-brand operator for him. Crying in the back here. Why did they have this hole open? They have the entirety of the vault open for them to fight, and Vale will find one on Jonas all the way across. Advantage going the way of Mockit. Look at the amount of health left on Fabian. Again, he'll get shot down. Rips holding off a 90 in the back. Grenades can't even deal with them in this situation, as Jonas was already dead. You don't have any of that to run for you. At least Kanta will find one, but Gogo will be lost. And the carry Rocket is all on his own versus 3. So little health left. Diffuser's in the middle of the hallway. Yeah, I don't think even the best player in the world can win out such a position. Look at the amount of angles that are being held by the defense, and the instant he vaults in for it, it's going to get shot down. There you go. Crying right in the shins. Cantor Ricchetti will go down, and Mockit will pick up their second round. Very convincing round.
Nice job by Mockit reading the play from G2 pretty much like a book. They're quickly dealing with the pressure from the Blitz, and then in addition to that, being able to handle it with the wide open position that they left for themselves inside of the vault. Still worked out though. Got them quite a few kills by the window. And now, with a struggle like that happening, we're going to see a pretty quick tactical timeout already called by G2. Despite this only being one round into their attack, they do feel uncomfortable with the way that it played out, so they're going to take a second to discuss it.
All right. So again, for people that are not too familiar with the timeout rules that we have, each team gets one timeout per map. So you get to use those 60 seconds to your advantage. However, once you call a tactical timeout, to talk to your coach, and that's why you do it. You can always talk between one another, but to have contact with your coach, someone that is sitting and watching everybody from an outside perspective, definitely something that can give you an advantage, especially when someone like Shaz is on the board. However, Mockit can also use that time to their advantage. The timeout, much like holes and angles, works both ways. So definitely something to keep in mind, which means that Mockit will have a tactical timeout available for them should the need arise to use it. Will there be a sixth pick? Yes, the Jackal moving over to the Ash. The Dokkaebi from... Oh, this is huge. Fabian is one of the few players in the world, but specifically EU, that still runs SMG-12's Dokkaebi. The only other player that I can really see and talk about as in having a huge impact is Restream's Aces. Maurice does a ton of damage to that SMG-12. You've seen it yesterday, and you've seen it all the time in Pro League. Fabian is the other one, and he plays Dokkaebi, a flank Dokkaebi, extremely well. There's a lot of matches you could watch him playing, for example, on Clubhouse, where just walk around the entire enemy team, find the flanks, use the calls effectively to his advantage, and you can kind of start making sense of it. He's the in-game leader. If he can hear the calls, he can coordinate his teammates to try and clear the roamers that are positioned in X or Y position. And especially now, you have to deal with the pulse downstairs. Definitely something that could come in handy.
We'll see where Rips plays into his position. A little bit later on, more than likely may find him going down to the basement, although it's starting to become less and less common as it's been found out more and more in teams. Oftentimes look to counter it out because of the fact that obviously he's still left alone down there. In fact, it's been droned out first just to check for this. So it's actually smart that we haven't seen Rips go down here this early, as he'd be already droned out and would have been forced upstairs where, as you can see.
Just seeing the reinforcement though, Fabian's going to be able to know, okay, there's a reinforcement here, there's a reason why it's there. You're not going to just randomly put a reinforcement there, because in general, this site here on Aviator Game Room requires a lot of reinforcements. So you're going to have to deal with it. You're going to have to use your calls for it. Now it just ends up playing like, how are you going to coordinate your teammates? And you're going to see one run up real close here. SMG-11 in hand is Kanto to win it. My, KS's head was going to get shot right off of his shoulders. And Fabian will find the second Corey eliminated downstairs. The Jaeger playing solo will go down. Rips will try to fall back as Vale will find one on Jonas. And the second Goga taken out. Wonderful fair play from Mockit to try and bring this one back in a 3v3, but the blitz of Pengu is already in. He's holding the Fuser on the site, taking so much damage, but Rips will find one more. Crying from below. Does not have a Nitro Cell. Yes, he does. Pengu will find one on Veil, clearing out the site. 2 Nitro Cells available, and a Pulse. A perfect combination. But now, can they find Pengu on the plant? Are there any bits of utility? Rips, what a shot! Pengu will go down on the shield, and now it's all up to the in-game leader as Rips so close to finding the head of Fabian. He's going to fall back and try to use his teammate to his advantage, and Crying the C4 from downtown. Fabian's going to get shot down, and Mockit, what a beautiful anchor into roam, into reverse anchor counter play. This is some NFL kind of stuff here. This is absolutely fantastic the way Mockit played it. They just moved around the map like it was nothing.
Never even really had a commitment to the site, to defending that for the most part from what we were seeing. Just playing, as you mentioned, a massive roaming game throughout the halls there, and it worked out so well to not even necessarily dominate G2, but at the very minimum just to keep the trades well enough so that they would have control over the map and would still be able to roam freely, allowing them to pull off those kills multiple times in a row throughout the course of the round.
And guess what? Having the Pulse definitely aids in that. I mean, you can literally see where they are, and you have 2 Nitro Cells. If that isn't plant denial potential right there, I don't know what is. And again, it's a combination of the map helping the defenders in this sort of way, but also it's not as cut and dry as you just kind of explain it that way. Mockit played it in a very smart way where they're able to bait G2 into the site and then use what utility they had prepared for it to win the round. And that's how you should be doing as a defender. That's how the defenders end up getting so many rounds on their side, is because they're able to mostly play it smartly. And this is what Mockit is able to do. 3 to 5, not impossible for them to try and turn it around. And we've seen how overtimes have been heading here at Invitational 2019. The group stage itself has already been very heart-pumping, to say the least. Maybe this is going to be another one between the two EU, at least Season 8 giants.
We will certainly see, but this is where we ended up seeing G2 fall apart. Back on the first half, was on the first floor defense of the kitchen. Mockit may very well suffer from those same issues if they're not careful about it. Obviously, we don't see the same operator lineup. It's a little bit different than what G2 has brought to the table. Still favoring the blitz on Pengu, as you can see, along with bringing a pretty similar lineup to what we had in the previous rounds as well. Having to do with that kitchen push, but they won't have the power of the glass that what we saw in the previous rounds. Definitely not something that we'll be seeing them utilize just as of yet.
Fabian trying to use the call to his advantage, and guess what? Rips knows exactly where he is. He can call out for Corey to go for a run out, but none of that will happen. There's, of course, the window that you can use to your advantage, and Fabian's going to put himself in a better position so he does not get tagged early on. He spots the edge of the rifle here from the Jaeger, the 416, and the instant Corey tries to move, he's going to get shot down. Cantor Rocchetti, nicely done to find the hole from the back and actually penetrates into the dining room. There's nobody to deal with him here. KS will find one on Jonas, but it's inconsequential. Fabian will find another. You take out the buck, soft destruction out of the board, but the site is already under control for those attackers. And guess what? Still C4 available for Crying. It's going to be up to Mockit to try and retake their own site before the diffuser is even set. Kanto will tag the smoke as KS will try to rotate around, and by the chassis will get shot down. Cantor Rocchetti finding the headshot. Crying firing in, taking down Fabian at 75 health. Barbed wire in the back pocket, no, already been used. And Nitro Cell nowhere to be found. The blitz in the back of Pengu just taunting the bandit. The 2 GSG-9 operators. Guess what? Goga and Kanto are already in post-plant positions. Crying moves in and instantly into the fire of Cantor Rocchetti. And Yohani will find it all. The fact that he was able to get into the dining room that easily is just baffling.
Just walks right in for the most part as well. 0 contention against him. And after that, everyone else from G2 piles on top of that, and there's just no room left at that point. Already too many players lost at that point in the round as well for Mockit to be able to try and bargain their way back into it. Just too much control too quickly by G2, leaving Mockit out in the cold.
And guess what? That was all because of Fabian. Fabian ran the Dokkaebi, made the calls, and those calls, they were cash money. It just allowed Kanto to use the audio pickup to his advantage. Be like, I can't hear anybody on the site. There must not be anyone there. Because they know there's no mute. walk in, take control of the site, and guess what? Now you're anchoring for your attackers to try and come into it, and it's going to be an easy plant for you because now you're holding the cross angles. Fabian's also on the window. You also have an opening into the pantry. All the angles are playing in your way, and this is how you should be playing. You use the operator to give you the information and then be able to smartly use that information to your advantage. And the tactical timeout will be called by Mockit, as you'll see the squad talking together, at least trying to fix stuff. It's a tactical timeout, not a technical one.
Yeah.
So
They did call for... It might be both, as far as I'm aware.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if overlay-wise we have a difference between the two, but there you go. At least our referee here is trying to make sure. And no, it was a tactical timeout. You saw the coach in the back just taking away his microphone and the headset and then having it turned off by the referee.
And as you were mentioning before, the main point of the pause is to get that input from the coach, who's very much looking at this game from an out-of-match perspective and very much has time to think in greater detail compared to something like the IGL, who obviously still has to worry about actually playing the game. He's able to think about the things that might have been going wrong, come up with better ideas to give to the IGL, and then translate those into strats.
Apparently there was some technical issue as well, but I believe everything is fixed. There you go. And we should be heading back into the game in just a second. 6-3, advantage for G2. They are on map point here. Our first one in this series. That's in Villa. A map G2 is pretty darn good at, even though they have some rocky history on it. If you look at the Paris Major, which is, I guess, the second most important event of the entire year, at least for 2018 and now moving into 2019 with the Invitational, they played the map against Penta Sports. They lost it in the group stage. They got demolished on it. Back then, you didn't win with 7 rounds, you won with 6.
Yeah.
So it was a 6-0 advantage for Penta Sports. And we're like, wow, what is going on? And then they end up winning the whole series. That was the only map they dropped in the entire tournament. From start to finish throughout the group stage, quarters, semis, grand final against EG. A game everybody was looking forward to, and guess what? 6-2, 6-2, 6-2. Absolute demolishing from G2. Then they have a bit of a rocky play and a rocky start to the season. They don't run it too well. They lose it to Secret. Now we'll see if they have the advantage to clean things up finally. 7-3 is what they're looking for, and I like the fact that we're seeing the Zofia here.
Absolutely, that'll be coming into play. We do have, as you can tell, folks, a bit of a technical delay on this one, so we're working on fixing it as quickly as possible. It's, as you can't tell with the headphones off, it is a bit of a sound issue, so we are working on fixing that. And
I think you should be plugging that into the computer. Now, I am no technical operator here. However, I'm a bit tech savvy.
Are those the headphones, though? That should be the white noise machine, then, isn't it? The headphones?
Yeah. For people that don't know, actually, there's quite a few people that ask the question like, oh, why do they wear the earphones and then the headphones on top? Well, your earphones are what you use to hear what's in the game. The headphones emit white noise just so you can't hear what's going on around you, and it's going to play quite a bit more of an effect once you get into the main stage later on during this week. Just because you want to drown out the sound of the audience. And here, because there's 2 matches going on and there's reactions and so many casting booths at the same time, you also kind of need it to block off any potential disruptions or information that you might get. And that's why you have to have it active. It's just active noise canceling. And for people that fly around quite a bit, get active noise canceling headsets or earphones. Trust me, they are lifesavers. Without them, I wouldn't have been able to get the 2.5 hours of sleep that I got from Frankfurt to Montreal to be able to come here.
You're a big advocate for noise canceling headphones.
Oh my god, I didn't believe in them until I used them myself.
Yeah, they're really nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there's a few reasons, and number 5 will shock you.
All right, we'll ask you about that later as we're getting back into it. As you had mentioned, it's G2 on match point here for their attack, as they will have the opportunity to shut things down and claim map number 1 into their own favor. Obviously still needing to win at least that second map if they like that easy exit to their group, and the easy slot in the quarterfinals with a high seed coming outside of the group.
Alrighty then, Vale with the standard setup here, the Evil Eyes. We'll see one that is set up near the B bomb. And of course, you set up there in the trophy, it allows you to hold all the way in the entry and bedroom. There's some pretty sneaky strats that you can do with Maestro. I've kind of dug through a lot of the stuff here. I don't like the second Maestro that he set up in 90, however, because it leaves it fairly open to be taken out. Just because you can kind of use your utility against it, but no matter where he would have put it, by the hatch or not. Fabian is running the Ashe, Kanto is running the Zofia. There's a lot of potential for soft destruction. You see the map, there's a lot of walls that you're reinforcing. But guess what? You don't actually need so much hard destruction, and having the Ashe and the Zofia comboing together, meaning that you can stun lock the bandit if he wants to go for bandit tricks. If you didn't know, if you get gizmoted by the Zofia, if you're a bandit and you're trying to bandit trick and destroy any X-Kairos that are being set on the wall, well, it cancels the animation. You can't really do much with it. And whoa, nice hunting here from Fabian as he'll find Corey early on. The Jaeger so far away, playing downstairs in the wine cellar, a position we've seen popularized quite a bit by Canadian on EG. Suddenly, is the first thing you do to clear things out. A huge bit of play here for G2 that will give them a huge advantage early on in potentially the last round.
Meanwhile, Pengu already has good control over master bedroom, not necessarily feeling the push inside of the bathroom just as yet, but that'll more than likely be the wraparound route for these guys as they'll move into astronomy afterwards. Just trying to drone things out first. They've detected the two on the inside. They've got the intel they need. Now it's about committing to the push here. Obviously still a minute and a half left, so they're not going to be pressured as of yet, but at the very minimum, the drone presence and the lurk inside of the bathroom itself is forced out.
There you go, the bandit trick.
There we go. It's going to go down. It will only stop 4 of them, though, so 2 pellets will still explode to make a small hole in the wall.
And guess what? That is actually more than enough. Now suddenly, you kind of pin everybody down in the one position, and Fabian from below will find the kill on Rips, using as well the Zofia from the back to give them info and lock the players down. KS, in the meantime, though, will put himself in the same position as we saw his teammates fall into. The pistol in the back, the M45. Can't KS? No, they line up for him. He'll find 2 kills, but Jonas with the refrag. Fail is last alive. I'll be faced with the shield in front. Long-range rifle, the OTS-03. Cantor Ricchetti as well to try and push in, but no. It's the pistol, the pocket sniper rifle, the PMM from Jonas. That'll clear things out for our very first map in the series. 7-3 will be the scoreline between Mockit and G2. And I have to say, the rounds that Mockit won were fairly convincing, but 3 is not enough.
Too far and too few between, unfortunately. Oftentimes happening as of slip-ups from G2 there. Like I said, they're very convincing rounds, so we'll have to hope, moving on to the next map, that they will still be able to bring that type of firepower to the table, but in a more consistent manner, as G2 are looking strong on LAN. As we've come to expect, it doesn't seem as though their rocky start in Pro League has affected them much.
I mean, everybody's been talking about it. Like, hey, are they saving strats? What's going on with G2? And honestly, they're victims of their own success. When you literally win you're winning too much. That's the thing. When you win everything, the instant you lose something, everybody's going to start to point it out. And I'm not going to quote DJ Khaled in this one, because people told me, don't do that or I will hate you forever. So sure, but that is definitely something that a lot of people have been looking at G2 and thinking, well, they've won everything. If they started losing one game, oh, are they on a slump? Are they done? Are they washed up? No, that's not how championship material is made. Championship material is consistency, and that's what G2 have always had. And on LAN, they are scary. Mantis got close, but close is not enough. As we've seen time and time again, you can ask EG what happened last year at Invitational.
And of course, Mantis as well, still struggling with some of the strats that they were bringing to the table there. As unfortunately, they played a bit of a straightforward game, which
it's struggling with droning.
Yeah, a big.
I saw like none of them, and I saw one of the players. I can't remember who. I think it was MV Taylor posted something about, oh, you know, we were so much better than last time we played against them. And yes, kudos. Pulling G2 that far away from potential victory or loss is pretty huge. However, maybe a bit more droning, and you could have gotten the game. And that's something that they know. None of us have to tell them that, because these are professional players. They are some of the best in the world for a very good reason. It's all about, hey, that little edge, that's what you need. And possibly, that might have been the change that they would have required against G2. But guess what? That matchup is long gone. It was yesterday. We're living in the present. In the present, G2 are dominating. and they're going to go to Coastline, a map that actually both teams are fairly comfortable on. But guess what? G2 are comfortable on every map.
Yeah, very much the case, and hold good records on most maps as well on top of that. So G2, once again, are not going to be sweating whatsoever, especially with the decisive manner that they were able to close out their opponent's map pick. So now they will look for the shutdown here, and a 2-0 closeout on Coastline.
Now, what's the difference between Coastline and Villa? I think this is a very good point to try and elaborate on. Villa, closed map, very defensive. There's a lot of ways for you to rotate around it. Even though it looks rigid because of the way that they reinforce things, you're actually fairly flexible on it. Coastline is flexibility in a nutshell.
Yeah.
It is designed around the ability to move around the map, hatches everywhere for you to use, and a lot of soft walls that you can utilize that quote-unquote SimCity again to your advantage and prepare for different angles that you can use.
A lot of soft walls in general, and too many to where it's possible to reinforce them all and rely on hard.
You really shouldn't
for the attackers, right? And so
if you're a defender, you really shouldn't reinforce most of the walls.
Yeah.
You'll see, for example, if we look at Hookah, one of the most played, the most won, I think it's like 58% overall throughout this season for defenders and in win percentage, which is pretty darn huge. Right? I think that was the CGG thing that they posted around a week ago. I don't remember my numbers correctly.
It's 64.5%.
64, there you go. It went up. It's huge.
Yeah.
Guess what? That's even with majority of games banning Maestro.
It's very correct.
It's a very strong set because there's so many ways to play it. You can play tanky on it, have a Maestro on it, have a mute as well, which means the Habana's not going to be able to do much, even if she tries to go up to the roof and try to open up holes against you for playing in the bar. You know, even if you have a Maestro, well, suddenly now you can snipe drones very easily because you have the pool table that you can use to your advantage. You also have a lot of bulletproof camera play because you're playing Dock, and the Dock can just survive for so long and hold on to VIP or to the hallway. All of that is huge for the defense, and that's not even counting the fact that there's so much C4 play between a Pulse of Mute, a Pulse of Bandit. Even when the Pulse is banned, it's huge.
Even just the presence of things like Evil Eyes Monitor is going to take additional utility away from the attackers. Is now, say, in the example of Ashe, you're going to have to use one, if not both, of your charges to be able to eliminate something like an Evil Eyes. That's the easiest and most direct way to get rid of it. Same could be said for someone like Zofia. We just had the map stats up on the screen. It's a map we actually, looks like we haven't seen Mockit play this map in recent history, going off those stats on screen, and banned it 10 times in recent history. So this will be the first time in a while we see them jump onto it. But here we go. It's the second map of the series. A chance for G2 to close it out now. A chance for Mockit to bring us back to a third and final map.
All right, you're starting off on Mockit, you ban the shield. Ban the Monty. No, the glass, really?
After last game?
You know G2 are going to ban the glass themselves. Why would you do that? You're giving them a free ban, and now G2 can just ban anything they want. They might, there we go, they're going to move the Ying. They just don't like playing against disruptive operators, and honestly, however it may have gone, this is a loss for Mockit. Could have banned the shield, so if you see shield play, you know who to blame for it. Maestro is going to be banned by G2, a pretty consistent ban for them, and it's up to Mockit to remove the last one. It depends. Do they ban the Mira? Do they ban the Pulse? Do they ban the Echo? All operators are up on the chopping board, and Mira, not surprising, means we're probably not going to see Penthouse played at all, which is not surprising. The site without Mira is very difficult to defend because there's so many ways to as well be able to attack it, and even when Mira is available, if you have control of the bottom floor, you're very easily going to just destroy the floorboard with a Buck. Buck is such a huge operator on this map. Hell, for people that think, oh, you have to have a Heart Breacher, why did nobody pick Thermite when we were playing on Coastline? That's actually a good decision, because you can literally dry run this entire map, no matter the site, with only Soft Breach, and you can still do the work. And guess what? Monty picked first, changed into Dokkaebi, because Fabian will refuse to play the Monty, and he's just always going to run the Dokkaebi. Guess what? You want to roam? You want to play that Pulse somewhere in the bars? You're not going to be able to do much because they're going to hunt you down. Dokkaebi, Jackal.
Yeah. That Pulse is not getting anything done this round.
And if he does, that's Corey showing how skilled he is. Because it is so difficult to pull off these sorts of plays when you literally have half of the entire team trying to hunt you. Guess what? You're going to get Jackal tracked, you're going to get called by the Dokkaebi, and you're going to have the Ashe of Kantaroketi, no less, firing into you.
The IQ also sees the tracker when it's out as well, right? So you have that to deal with also, as Goga at the same time can also be able to spot this out. So if Corey, as you were mentioning, as Corey goes unnoticed, it's definitely either a big mistake from G2 or a testament to Corey's own capability to lurk around these guys.
The Office having quite a bit of utility put into it. Oh no. Crying. What is that?
That is a Jaeger Iron Sight.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
He's trying it out. It worked for Bandit.
Yeah. Okay, I really hope there's something behind it. It's just quite possibly like a mistake here and there, but it's okay. Not gonna be able to do much with it. Pengu using holographic. We'll find the first kill. Corey though, holding on. We'll find one kill. Goga with the refrag and Chaos. We'll find one more on Goga. Rips with one more as well. Cantor Raketti taken away. And now the push from behind. Pengu will find the kill on Vale and suddenly fall back. Jonas with the refrag and the advantage of 3-2 suddenly lost, all up to Rips. You got Jonas playing the Jackal here, and if you run it correctly with Pengu, you can very quickly spot where Rips is. The fuser's not been set, and look where their Scoo mines are. They're all the way on the opposite end of the map.
So we'll have no effectiveness in this very quick push that we see from G2, moving in and picking up 4 to 5 of the kills at the 2-minute 20-second mark. So basically an infinite amount of time, at least in the context of a 2v1, for the G2 players to work with to try and knock out Rips. Rips will play this, of course, incredibly slowly. As you mentioned, the Guman's not in a particularly good place considering where G2 has gone for their execute. So it's very unlikely that he's going to be able to get a sound intel off of that.
There's a smoke grenade available. The Jackal can use it, and there's a ton of time left. So if you manage your drones correctly, you can easily spot Rips. There you go. And they know where he's at. Now, how will they peek against him? There you go, Jonas.
Just like that.
Just face checks him and running the C7E that already has very fast ADS and quite a bit of damage at this range. You run an angle grip on this, and it is going to be a kill machine.
You could even see it there on the replay, how snappy that was in comparison to what most of you guys at home are probably running on the vertical grip. Definitely increases it, especially if you're an ace with headshots. You only need that 1 or 2 shots and don't have to control the spray from it. So, no success for Mockit on their opening site at the double bar, so they'll take it upstairs instead to the most successful site statistically on this map, the hookah and billiards room site, currently with a 65%, as we were talking about the pregame defender win rate here.
Now Corey's going to switch away to the dock. It's hookah. No, the pulse is going to... Okay. Are you going to play the pulse in double bar? Probably going to do that and then have Cryan playing near him if he's not going to play on the site itself, which wouldn't be too surprising. Usually you'll see the double C4s being played below, leaving the Jaeger on the site with the smoke in the hookah lounge itself. But I'm really curious to see where they actually set up their cameras, because Goga's playing the IQ, which is something he runs and ran fairly consistently. It's going to be very easy for him to shut down all of those shutterbugs that are set in and around the aquarium. And hey, you're going to have 1 or 2 of them there. That's just a freebie for Goga. Might be able to give you some information on your opponent's position, but if you're not able to capitalize here, and this is all on Corey, using the cardiac sensor and the nitro cell correctly, then all of this utility will be for none.
G2 once again. We'll take the front entrance to start things off. Actually, we're going to mess around with the kitchen a little bit here, too, as Mockit are throwing a bit of resistance at them from the windows itself. We have one player on the inside trying to contest out that kitchen window. G2, it looks like they're going to shift away from it, with the exception of Jonas. We'll just drone to the inside, try to find the intel, and, of course, look to try and get up close if possible. Start the tracking process and look to isolate out these roamers if at all possible.
Now, Jonas again on the C7E. Now, some people, if you look at, for example, joystick on Empire, starting to run the PDW quite a bit. PDW 9, oddly enough, the 9mm does more damage at range than the 5.56 full rifle. Something that people might not know, which is fair enough, but there you go. The more you know, today I learned with Militia Blue. So if you want to play a long-range game, Jackal is a great operator, extremely flexible, and I don't like that softball that's on the side. That really might come back to bite them later on in the round if they're even able to shut down the external play from G2, as right now, G2 are just scouting things up. They spot there's nobody in the aquarium. they're not going to move into it directly. They're going to make sure there's nobody from below to try and capitalize on it. And guess what? Corey's downstairs. The call is going to come in, and that should be able to isolate the pulse as Kanto Raketti will push it. Oh my god, Fabian right to the... What? The site is clear!
Wait, what?
What? Hello?
The only good news is that the diffuser is still about a 5 or 10 second walk away, but it shouldn't matter much. KS is going to be moving in. He'll be knocked out, and G2 quite literally just walk onto the site. Corey, a very off position Nitro cell. Don't even think he had a scan to support that one. Ends up going down. The diffuser plant coming. We finally see a response from Mockit, but it's too little too late as Cryan picked up that kill against Jonas. They don't even need the Jackal anymore. It's not a big deal. They've already got the site and the plant to go along with it. Now it's just a matter of knocking out these last two. A 1-for-1 exchange, followed up by Fabian to close out the round, gives it to G2 yet again.
You call it diffuser, I call it confuser. As here, this is total confusion. From Mockit, they kind of just evac the site completely. There were 2 players in there left. You saw the smoke. You also saw, I believe, the Legion that was playing on the top floor by the bar. Fabian got the call, moved in, immediately found the kill. And I have to say it. I mentioned it in the previous map, I'll mention it again. Fabian on the Dokkaebi is scary, You give the IGL so much information, he's gonna make use of it. And that's exactly what they had. They took their time, G2, they droned things out, they put pressure on the bottom floor, the Pulse didn't know what to do in that position, and then just fell back. And it seems like if you're gonna roam against G2, you better be ready for some different tactics to deal with you. They're either just charge right into the site, and then hold your angles against you where your C4s can't do much, or they will clear you out first and use all their utility available. And guess what? If you have control of the site, one thing on Hookah that you can use to deal with C4s is the fact that you have the pool table right in the middle of billiards room. Guess what doesn't kill you through it? C4s. You plant on the top of the table, suddenly all your C4 advantage is nullified, and there's only a handful of players that are able to, as some would say, thread the needle and run that C4 charge in between the cracks in the floorboard that are already preset by their teammates to try and find the kill on top. It's not something you can rely on, but it's a strategy there, and it did not work out.
So Mockit recommit themselves. Corey specifically taking a moment in the operator selection phase, if you missed that, and deciding if he wanted to stay with the Pulse again or finally commit to that switch over to the dock. And this time, after changing that selection 2 or 3 different times, ends up finally committing himself to the dock. Finally removing the Pulse out from the defender's side here after 2 rounds with it and finding, unfortunately, not a whole lot of success. Just too fast of plays from G2 for him to be able to keep up with it, along with the intel game that's coming out against them. And it seems as though G2 as well have realized that the IQ was maybe not finding as much effectiveness as they would have hoped. So they actually bring a hard breacher in instead on Goga, electing to bring the Hibana into the fold for this 3rd round as they look once again to run the gauntlet on the attack here.
So here's the thing. Last year at Invitational, Vale was actually running the Ela, but back then you needed a dedicated Ela on your team. Mockit back then, 1UP, EG, and G2 back then, Penta, all played in the same group. And when 1UP, now Mockit, played EG on, I believe it was Chalet, which is no longer in Pro League map pool, they ended up playing the Ela, which was easily shut down by their opponents on the roam. And you can kind of compare Coastline as well to Chalet, where you have to roam, you have to give yourself the advantage in close-up positions like Kanto Raketti is trying to do with the R4C here. But guess what? You got calls from Fabian and you've got Jonas. And maybe the answer might be a Vigil, might be just stay on the site. Who knows when you're playing against G2? I'm really curious to see where the bulletproof camera even is, and Fabian will find the entry here, takedown. Only ACOG available for the defense. Corey on the dock, shot down.
As well, Fabian going hunting, pretty aggressive push down the western hallway to be able to pick that up. Keep G2 in a winning position. KS looking for a response. Downstairs in the smoke, he has some holes to work with here. See if the damage will bleed through up to the next floor, but right now, not a whole lot being found. The problem is he's already used 2 with 1 remaining. You still have 45 seconds on the clock. It's not an adequate amount of time. G2 will continue to clean up, but Rips and KS will find their appropriate responses, knocking up both Jonas and Kanto to bring it into a 3v2 with a favor towards G2 and the man advantage. But with 30 seconds remaining, that advantage will slowly start to drift away, especially with Rips picking up the next kill on Fabian. Hengu now looking for a desperate leap into the window to just open up an opportunity. for them to at least get control of the site. Move from here, but that'll get spotted easily by Rips. The last Toxic Babe will move out. Unfortunately, will not stop a whole lot. Goga moving in from a different position will get knocked down. And finally, we see Mockit onto the board on the 3rd round.
Goga doing a signature Goga move there, which is the counter, the peek, re-peek into a dolphin dive, if you will. Back in the day, and a lot of people call them the good old days. I don't really agree. Back then, you could drop shot. I'm very happy to say that has not been in the game for over a year. Thank you, Ubisoft. But Goga to this day actually does this quite well with the counter peaks, just because of how fast he can get, especially when he utilizes the 3 speeds to his advantage. Sometimes I'll even do it with an echo, which is pretty darn difficult to figure out. But in this case, with 2 rifles or 2 SMGs staring at him in the doorway, there's not much that he could do. And it's a round that kind of just fell apart after an early game advantage. Why? You couldn't use the calls correctly, which is exactly what G2 have been doing so well. Once they kind of falter on that advantage that they've been having in the past, able to rocket pretty darn decently, Mockit are able to claw things back. But can you rely on that? I don't think so.
I wouldn't think so either. So we'll continue the move around the sites as G2 are looking to re-solidify the lead. Mockit looking to find some stability for themselves here. As the one round they have picked up still ends up being a close affair with 2 players tucked into a corner. G2 had slightly more manpower to work with at the end there. We could have looked at that going another way, but finally they slip up. Mockit gets themselves onto the board with their first defensive round. And we head over into the kitchen and service entry for the next round here, where G2 have the possibility to make that very, very aggressive push and very quick plant if they want to try to do it by the service entry.
If I'm not mistaken, this is one of the weaker sites for the defense. I think it's a 50% win rate. At least that's what it was in Pro League. I don't know if... I'm pretty sure Spluck is updating everything throughout the tournament here. So
right now, I have 45.9% win rate for Defender.
Which has gone down from last week's information. So there you go. Because of the flights, I haven't been able to keep up at all data statistics. But there you go. It's even worse for you. And nobody's going to go for Penthouse in this situation. You have to go for this site after winning the double bars. After this, though, however, you'll be able to resend play back up in Hookah.
It's actually worse than Penthouse, believe it or not. It's got like 1% less than Penthouse, so not much, but yeah, slightly less. So it's interesting to see how the stats continue to shift on this site. Pengu nearly biting off a little bit more than he can chew. Opening the hatch right there, opening the floorboards, excuse me. And we'll still be able to go back, chuck a nade downstairs. Don't think it's going to find much, except a few bullets thrown back at him to knock him down about 30 or 40 HP.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the grenade. Possibly a quote-unquote fat finger there. I'm not, because there was no cooking, there was no information for him to play off of, and at least they find Corey here in a kill breaching round used as well to tag the second player. At least they'll get some information on, I believe, the smoke downstairs, KS tag below, and it's all these skins we actually have no clue at times. Who's playing what operator? Cryan will go down as well. Vale and Rips are the last 2 alive. G2 are looking to capitalize. Vale will find 1 kill. At least what Mockit can be happy with is that they are on full HP when looking into the 4 remaining players of G2.
Well, for those players now, as the phone calls continue to roll out against both Rips and Vale, the plant is going to be going down. Not that there's much of an obstacle in it now, especially over by the service entry. It's very simple for Goga to just walk right in, throw it onto the ground with pretty much no resistance from Mockit whatsoever. They will regroup on the inside of Kitchen. As you can see, they already have Rips incredibly low at just over 25 HP, but with the Doc alive, there's that potential to heal him back up. They actually do it mid-combat, which leads into a loss, unfortunately. The Doc is not available for an immediate trade. Pengu and Goga pick up back-to-back kills, and once again, restore G2's advantage, 3-1.
Yeah, that's a doctor, please, help me from the mess I'm in. And that's too great of a mess to try and get out from. Unfortunately for Mockit, they fall short, and it's not surprising. You look at the statistics; they speak volumes. And sometimes, actually, most of the time, don't look into just the numbers. Try to understand what the round brought in terms of operators and how they were played. that actually, if you look at the number itself, it gives you an idea of how the round ran. However, once you look at the operator bans, the site, how those operators will actually use throughout the round and what it came down to, then you start to understand why the site fails and why it fails specifically for certain teams and not for others, and against some teams and not against others. Again, the numbers are only part of the statistics. And if you want to analyze everything and really start to dig deeper into the understanding of how the metagame plays for teams against one another, against a different one from another region, we can end up theory crafting and digging into this for literally the next week. Just looking at these two teams.
Very true.
Unfortunately, we don't have that luxury.
No.
And
we have to get on with the games.
yes, and I think even the most hardcore fans would kind of tune out at that point. But want to keep you in here. And guess what? G2 are definitely keeping in this game. They play the Zofia this time. Moving away from the Ashe, they realize that, okay, if we can actually use the Guzmots for a bit more soft destruction, but also the ability to stun lock our opponents, and at least detect where they are, then we might be losing less players throughout the round, and especially if we're going to play the top floor, reaching charge Zofia is definitely something you can look into. So I'll have to ask, once we get into the attacker spawn, to check if Kanto is bringing breaching charges or not.
That out in just a moment, of course, when we do get themselves into it. But once again, Mockit go for the kitchen and service entry site to try and play this out once again.
10 seconds
Notice
left.
they were playing around with their operator setup a little bit. They even had a clash in the pick there for a moment while it was paused, as obviously you saw Mockit taking a tactical timeout for themselves there, but they ended up deciding against that. And they're running with a pretty similar layout to what they had before. It looks like the Rook has been added into it, however, for Veil. So we've got double ACOGs coming in. These guys to try and have a little bit of a better advantage in their duels, at least.
Okay, can we check the Zofia for a second, Marcio? He's bringing Claymores. Okay, that's fair enough. It's fine if you're also bringing the Sledge. It's possible that Goga's actually bringing the breaching charge in this situation. No, he's bringing Claymore, so I'm completely wrong. But that's okay, because somehow I'm still right. Because guess what? They're bringing the Sledge, and they're bringing that Jackal. So a ton of soft destruction for top-down play available for G2. Brought it back. Still a winner.
Obviously banking a little bit more so on one or two players instead of spreading that soft destruction out, however. So if we do see success from Mockit in the early round, that still could limit G2's soft destruction when they actually get themselves into a position to go for the execute. Pengu will waste no time, however, on that Sledge, taking control of the blue bar, just jumps directly on the inside. And now in a safe position. He'll start to drone for the rest of his teammates that are elsewhere on the map. In fact, he decides to bail out of here and rotate around to regroup with the rest of his team.
I'm not sure if he spotted the Jaeger playing upstairs in the VIP. Veil, close angle here being played. And at least we'll keep Fabian's Raider back in the security room. Corey's on his own. Goga will find one kill. He rushes in for the second and is still alive. The smoke is not able to kill him. And Fabian will find another, taking down Rips. Veil and Cryan, the only two alive. And guess what? You have the advantage. The wall is soft, but the diffuser is on the floor. They're still alive somehow in the back. Yuna's taken out. Goga is low on HP. And Fabian is down on the floor. I'll find, actually, no, still alive. So how much HP does he even have? Oh my.
He's got a one.
How is he? What?
He's one. Has to be.
Oh my.
Goga's not doing much better at 2 or 3. So literally a one shot away for most of these players. The phone call is out. Goga, Veil doesn't even have time to stop it. Goga with 1 HP will pick up the last kill as well. And G2 once again brute force their way into the kitchen to take control of another round.
First of all, one piece of Rook armor was not used.
Well, I didn't even notice that.
It was right there in the middle. Oof. Which means I think it's time to introduce a balancing change. Ubisoft, if you're listening, this is a perfect time to tune out. Especially in professional play, but in general, if you play Rook and you put down the armor on the floor, this is a suggestion by one of my favorite YouTubers, aka the Killian Experience, for some of the Swedes that know about them here and there.
Actually, you know who that is?
He's hilarious, and Fabian actually really likes him. When you put your Rook armor on the floor, the instant it's deployed, there should be a huge military nuclear attack siren that keeps blaring and blasting out until all of them are being picked up. So thank you very much, Killian, for the suggestion. I really hope this gets added, because even in professional play, protection is not always being used.
Put an air raid siren on it, you know?
Yes.
Yeah. Just really annoy people.
That's yeah.
Also, it only plays to the person that doesn't pick it up.
No, it plays for everyone. So then you either team kill him because he didn't use it. Don't do that, by the way. Or you at least shove him like, hey, maybe you should do that. You know, don't forget about it. But Goga reminding everybody that not only can he plant, but he can also kill in the previous round. IQ, Thermite, no matter what it is, Goga, CCC, I kill, CCC, I plant, CCC, we all win.
And win is very much the name of the game for G2 when it comes to this attacking side. 1 round left. They'll attempt the double bars again. Same to be said for Mockit on their defense, as they're looking to at least put a 4-2 scoreline. So they once again will have a better chance of making a comeback on their own attacking side. Vale gets himself off to a good start, finally catching that early lurk from Pengu, which up to this point has been relatively undisturbed throughout the entire half.
G2 will continue to drone in and realize that there's nobody playing on the top floor in the meantime, as the rest of Mockit have kind of evac the top floor. They can use that to their advantage here on the attack of double bar. At least force one of the players away. Goga, in the meantime, will take control of the cool vibe stairs to shut down rotations. It's also a pretty huge position because there's literally only one other spot that you can use for your rotation. That is a man-made hole that you see in the back of the bar that can be easily spotted for a drone or two set up here and there. Fabian will start to move in, and you always see Fabian so far away from his opponents because he's not really needed. He's the one that has to make sure that on his side of the map, there are or there are no calls. And see if he can use that to his advantage. The drone should have spotted the Legion in the back, as Chaos will find one kill. Legion on the floor, not for long. Fabian will drop him and at least permanently keep him attached to that floor.
So again, serves out to give G2 slightly more control to work with. Fabian follows it up with another one, in fact. It'll take him down. Vale's going to start to look for the response soon, especially over by the cool vibe steps. We might be misreading the situation a little bit if he overcommits to the stairs peak. He does, however, see the pressure inside of the kitchen instead. And one of the members of Mockit is also going to be caught out trying to run past the courtyard. Jonas upstairs will be able to isolate him out. Corey finally gets revenge against one of these G2 players by knocking out Jonas, but it's a small gesture. Now in the 2v2, Fabian moving in, picking up yet another one for himself, but Corey also able to knock out Goga. Now mind you, Fabian, despite the fact that he's alone, he's got both of his logic bombs still available to try and use against Corey.
Throws out one smoke to try and push Corey away for just a second. Corey's actually using the Bearing 9, which is not something a lot of people use anymore just because of the recoil, how uncontrollable it can get. Fabian will move in from behind the bar, and Corey will find it. Fabian to go down, but finally, Mockit again are trying to find their footing in this matchup, and that's all they wanted. Fabian in the back getting shot down. Unfortunately, not using the logic bomb.
Since they wouldn't work anyway.
Huge. Well, they wouldn't work against
Echo.
the yokai itself, yeah, and against the Echo specifically. So there you go. You can't do much against him. You know he's the last operator. You can't really use your biggest crutch, and you didn't even use it early on in the round. And as you mentioned early on, that pick that Mockit were able to find on Pengu was pretty darn huge. It eliminated so much of the soft destruction that was available to try and clear out players in those power positions behind the blue bar or the sunrise bar. And it cost so much manpower from G2 that even Fabian's play was not enough to take the round.
Yeah, so unfortunately that early lurk being knocked out seems to have really stunted G2, but the good news is they won't have to worry about that anymore, at least not until we get to overtime if that becomes a factor, because now they're on defense. We've switched sides, we've reached past halftime, and G2 are going to be starting up on the kitchen as well. They'll go to the site first, play things out from here to see if they can quickly try to run up towards 7 rounds to close out in a 2-0 fashion against Mockit, which would send them to the lower bracket, and G2 on into the playoff bracket. Reminder, this is a winner's match as well, so the team that ends up coming out of this match will have the high seed when we determine the quarterfinal layout.
10 seconds left.
Yeah, and that's exactly what they need in this situation. G2 are looking for number 1 because of the way the EG have been playing so far.
Attackers recovered the bomb diffuser.
It's really gonna make it so the number 1 seeds just cannot play against one another. And as G2, you want to have the biggest advantage possible. And hey, with the way the group stages have been going on so far, fairly unpredictable, you can give yourself that advantage. It's going to give you something later on, but as Fabian will probably say once He is on stage. Doesn't matter who we're playing against. And KS, wow, huge shot with CZ75. Just through the window there. All fine. The first kill, and guess what? It's Fabian and the Legion. Huge kill for the start.
It's caught directly in the open, too. It might have a chance at one more as well. There is an additional player from G2 on the main stairs. And there he is now. It's Jonas sitting at the bottom, but he'll commit to a drone instead of going directly in a bit of a foolish bargain. Instead, we'll play it the normal method here, trying to drone him out first, if that presents itself as an option. You can see that rolling around. Jonas is aware of it. Tries best to not get spotted, but it is far too late. KS will now look to get himself into a position where he could find this kill, but that is probably going to take a while, because the fact that he's going to have to rappel upside down in order to line something like that up. And in the meanwhile, Corey gets spotted out by Kanto. Despite having the floor breached open, Kanto is very much ready for that peek and makes quick work of him to even the numbers out at 4v4.
Crying though will find the second kill. Goga will go down, and now using the holes to his advantage. A huge pick on the Echo, actually. So definitely Mockit trying their best on this attack of putting up so much of that destruction and speed and firepower. You see all the 3 speeds in, but Kanto Raketti holding on to the main lobby. Lamborghini doorway will get another one. Rip's taken away. It's not like the IQ would have done too much later on, but at least Kanto is down, and Cryan might be able to capitalize here on the finisher and the extra kill. He spots the leg of the one rotating away. Can he... I don't know, where did he go? Jonas is still available here and he's going to go for the pickup. A Cryan is spotted. Look at this angle watch from the opposite end. Jonas will find the kill on KS. Cryan is on the floor and they're actually doing it. G2 go for the pickup on the carry rocket. And suddenly, with all the advantage in your way, Mockit are left with only the Habana, literally the most useless operator in this situation, to try and win it out against Jonas, Pengu, and Kanto Raketti. All 3 submachine guns and carbines that are looking down into Vale. He's got 20 seconds to do it, and he might have the fuser, but he's going to need a lot of luck and effort. He already gets sprayed through the wall, and Jonas will finish him off by the desk. Wonderful ability to play from G2 as they put yet another round on the board, and just lack of coordination from Mockit to finish things off.
Down he will go, and indeed, a good start coming in there from Mockit, with the early pick being found at the window by the main stairs just past the lobby. Fortunately, never really able to follow that through. They commit a decent amount of time to trying to isolate out the Smoke, who was also playing on those stairs, but never are able to successfully do that. Then there's an over-focus on the down player, which was Kanto, on the same vigil on the inside of the front lobby desk, where they were eventually able to actually rotate a player in to resurrect him, while at the same time having a watch on the inside of the bathroom that went unnoticed pretty much the entire time he was in there to stop anyone who would attempt to disrupt the resurrection. So nicely done. Very tactically played out once again there by G2. Secure a 5th round for themselves. Only 2 more away now from a closeout on not only this map, but this series as well, to push them forward into the playoff bracket.
All right. G2 with a double reinforcement on the blue bar. Eunice setting up one of them, though, from blue into open hallway. And guess why? He's running a bulletproof camera. Oh, man. So because they're not running the Maestro in this situation, given the fact that he's banned, they'll run 2 bulletproof cameras, which happens, but not too much. But look at where the 2 are being set up. One in Cool Vibe Stairs, just to hold down the hallway, and the other one, as you see by the reinforced wall. This is why they reinforce it, to look all the way down through the window into blue, but also anybody planting right behind the bar. So it's a huge position to run those bulletproof cameras. And Kanto's going to find the first one. Oh my, are they actually running 3 bulletproof? Can we check Jonas for a second?
I think there is a 3rd one that was behind the bar, right?
3 bulletproof cameras.
I saw one when we were on dock right before on Goga. You can
Yes.
see one right behind the bar as well that's sitting there too. So
That's pretty huge. That's information game where you have none. And you know, you sacrifice the Smoke, not a problem. You still have Jonas. You still have the ability to run rotation holes because you're running that shotgun and because you have impact grenades from Fabian on the Legion.
It's 2 drones that have been eaten up now by the Mute Jammers. Unfortunately, eliminating out quite a bit of intel that Mockit would have been able to otherwise get. And it's certainly not helping their case considering how aggressive and the confidence that G2 is now going to have themselves since they have this 5-2 lead. They're definitely going to be feeling the capability to try riskier plays here. And with the drones being knocked out so quickly, much possibility might be. There we go. That is a big one from Jonas. on the 590, quickly making work of Cryin with just a single hit. Rips is also knocked out a moment later, just like that. It's still a 2-minute marker. G2 already have a 5v2 advantage. They're working together right now to isolate out Vale as well on the upstairs portion. Meanwhile, KS is trying his best to get something done on the Dokkaebi downstairs. It's not looking likely, as we will see him immediately picked off by Goga on trying to enter the Sunrise Bar.
Yeah, they spot Pengu on the run out from Hookah, but that's kind of to be expected, especially since Vel was already holding on to the DJ booth. But that's one kill. There's 4 left, and guess what Goga's doing right now? He's playing the medic, and he's putting everybody back up to full HP. Only waiting for the Uber charge here to push into Vale, but so far taking things slow as the strategy goes. When you're winning, when you're ahead, get even more ahead. And right now, the way to do that is to just slow things down. The holes have been already opened up by Jonas's mute from below, and Fabian will use him to his advantage. I believe that was an Ashel, actually, that was open from before. Find the kill from above him, and there you go. VIP shut down. Damn. G2 in complete control, 1 round away from map and match point.
Vale, unfortunately, never even truly aware of that hole as far as I was able to see from his perspective there.
I didn't think he even saw it.
No, that's what I'm saying. I don't even think he was aware that it was there, so just quickly picks him off. He had the smaller hole that he was trying to abuse a little bit to get 1 or 2 kills before he would have been forced downstairs via the timer, but just never really got to that point. So again, the operators are going to switch up a little bit in terms of who's playing who. We still have the Vigil in, but it's no longer going to be played by Kanto. It's going to switch over to Jonas instead. He hasn't locked that in, so there's a chance we see it 6 picked out. We'll see that in just a moment as the decision's being made. Kanto, in the meanwhile, has gone over to the Bandit. We still have the Rook and Doc combo making an appearance once again, and Fabian only sticking onto the Legion. As we get ourselves into this round, it looks like we are going to be playing on the most successful site for defenders, giving G2 the best chance here to Hookah Billiards, where they want to shut it down.
Are they running double bulletproof cameras? Can we check Jonas for a second, Martin? No, he's running impact grenades and Goga with a bulletproof camera. So I'm expecting to run one right in the billiards room. There's where Pengu's reinforcing right now. You can either put it on the wall itself or right next to it. There's a hard wall, basically is the anchor of the site, or you can put it on the bomb itself, which in my opinion is not that great of a position to use it in, but it's all up to Goga to see where he goes with it, and he's going to use it to hold off the hallway. This will make basically flanks, in general, infinitely more complicated for Mockit as there's information to deal with that. However, Mockit have the perfect ways of dealing with it. Not only do they have the Zofia and the Ash, but also the Twitch that can easily zap that bulletproof camera from the side and take it out of order.
Certainly will be the case, especially if Rips can find himself in a good position to be able to knock that out. However, if it goes unnoticed, as you were mentioning, any flanks or attempts to sweep in on that side of the building will be caught well in advance by the members of G2, and they'll be able to adjust to it in time, limiting Mockit to only that standard aquarium push, which would lead into the site push with smoke supporting them, or obviously moving themselves in from the balcony to get themselves into Hookah as well would be their other option. It is looking like they are favoring the earlier of those two, at least to start. Still plenty of time remaining, so we could very easily see this changed up later on. However, aquarium reinforcement already going to be bursted open, and they'll start to investigate options to get in here.
Yeah, this is just whack-a-mole. You're not going to be able to find much through it. KS will just walk into the site, hasn't been able to detect or jackal track anybody just yet. Actually, he did use one of his sets of Inox, and are they going to go for a quick plant? Yes, they might be. Goga will boost himself up for extra HP, but Corey comes in from the side. He'll find one kill. They fall right above him, and they'll find the kill. Goga and Pengu both to go down. Kanto Raketti with a refrag on Corey. This is going to be enough. Barbed wire on the Bandit here, and they're trying to look down through the holes, but there's one on the pool table, and there's one right next to him. Rips will fire into Eunice and taken out. 4v2 with Kanto finding 2 on Vale and Cryin. Diffuser is still not on the floor. KS very close up here, trying to use the hold to his advantage. He'll find the headshot. Kanto through the soft wall. Fabian on the rotation with 2 Gumais now. The second one is being recharged, so waiting for the information. And pings from his teammate. Claymore set on the floor. He'll see one rotating all the way away. He'll find the kill. And it's now a 1v1. Fabian and KS, the former teammates from a year or so ago. Is there any info for Fabian to play off of it? Yes, he does. Spray into the side as the Fuser will be faked off by KS. And Fabian would have loved to have an impact grenade in this situation, as KS will continue to fake as he detects the lesion. And guess what Fabian's trying to do? He's going to bait him into the camera and now gets info on him. A Brave from behind the wall as the soft wall just being used by both players. KS kind of giving up here and going for that diffuser plant. Goo mines are just recharging and not able to do much with them. Fabian will go for the reload, goes in for the peek. Can he find the kill on the Jackals? Go for the pre-fire. Getting up close and personal with a Claymore in front, but it's KS to win it out. Fabian to go down, and Mockit at least find an uneasy victory in that round. They got way too close for comfort, but one nonetheless that they sorely needed.
Definitely speed more than anything being the name of the game there for Mockit, trying to rush the plant through Aquarium into Billiards as quickly as humanly possible. And they're able to accomplish just that. Not only that, but G2 thinks it's so fast that they wouldn't have had players in position to watch for those trying to push the smoke. So we saw, I believe, at least 2 more additional members of G2 get knocked out during the plant process as they tried to push directly through the smoke setup that Mockit had, and were promptly executed as soon as they came out the other side. So really good stuff from Mockit, a very quick and very decisive setup to get that plant onto the ground as quickly as possible and really just throw G2 a surprise that I don't think they were expecting.
No. All right. How does this play out for G2 though? They're bringing the Valkyrie. A lot of information to be gathered. I like the way that Mockit are trying to play around this. Instead of doing what G2 did on the attack, which is run the IQ, they'll run the Twitch. It's a more offensive way of doing things. The 552 Commando definitely does a ton of damage, one of the highest DPSs actually on the attacking side. But the F2 is still the F2, and putting down a lot of lead down range. And the way that the recoil bounces, you can very easily find those headshots. And between players like Rips and Corey even on the attack, you can really get a lot of work done. Goga will set up his Black Eyes here with the Valkyrie. Has a Nitro Cell in hand just in case. Jonas should have one as well. I wonder, actually, if they're running a bulletproof camera or not on either Kanto or Jonas, the 2 operators, 2 players that can run such a thing. But again, you're gathering a lot of information as the defense, but you're also denying a ton of it. Use Mute Jammers and use the Vigil to that goal.
So the bulletproof camera will be successfully taken out by the Twitch drone, but that's the only thing that's going to get it is sniped out just a second later. I think there still is one more in his inventory to be able to throw out here later on in the round, but getting rid of the bulletproof camera now allows for Corey to make this more aggressive push. They're not going to have exact intel about where he's moving in from, but still ends up walking right into Goga's pre-fire to take out Corey early on in the round.
And guess what? He's got a Black Eye as well. He's going to set one up as well. I think it got shot down there, but still, it is available. More information for the team, and losing out the second. Cryan will go down. Both soft breach are now out of play for the attacking side. Failed to spot one on the rotate, and that was Goga, unfortunately. Will go down. KS to find him. There's still one more in the back, and I wonder if that's Kenta Ricchetti. No, he's actually closer up, and Pengu takes damage, but is still alive on the Jaeger. He'll actually go for the repeak. Fabian will find one kill, but he runs right into Rips, who looks into him and rips into him. Pengu will find the kill on Vale as he'll be the one to finish him off. And Jonas for the last one to secure victory for G2. That's all she wrote. Round number 10. Again, a 7-3 in both of our maps, Villa and Coastline. A victory for the reigning world champion.